Hey, good evening, everybody. This is just a very quick live stream to address a very important question with the healthcare debate up in the air and with people thinking that they can do state by state Medicare for all and that aren't quite familiar with the way that funding happens across the board. Let me just state for the record that the United States as a whole is what we call monetarily sovereign. Individual states, however, are not monetarily sovereign. In other words, state by state require tax revenues in order to actually pay for things. However, the federal government does not require taxes to pay for things. Okay, the federal government is the creator of the US dollar. So when we look at places like France that have a universal healthcare system, and we look around and we say, how can we model ourselves after these various groups? It's important to understand what is monetarily sovereign and what is non-monetarily sovereign. France is not monetarily sovereign. France is very similar to the state of California or to the state of Detroit or Michigan. And you think about it like this. Michigan requires taxes to pay for things. California requires taxes to pay for things. California can go broke. It can go bankrupt. Michigan can go bankrupt. All these places can go bankrupt. Just like Greece, France is a currency user. They are now on the euro. So now that they're on the euro, the European Central Bank, not to be confused with our national central bank, the European Central Bank, okay, makes the money for those people. They always have to pay those debts back, okay? They have to pay it back. But the United States, Canada, Australia, Japan, China, and a ton of others are monetarily sovereign. They create their own money. So they don't require a tax to pay for things. Think about that. They require a tax for us to need the money, but they don't require a tax to actually pay for things. So when you say that you're going to provide a taxpayer-funded system in the United States at the federal level, you are fundamentally telling a very large whopper of an untruth, because federal taxes are deleted. So if you say that you're going to pay for it with taxpayer dollars, you are fundamentally telling a ginormous fishtail, or a whopper as some might call it. Maybe even some might go as far as to call it a fib, or maybe even a lie. So we're going to go with it's a fib. We're going to go with maybe that they just don't know any better. Okay? So let's talk about this for a minute, because this is very important. A lot of people are excited about California pushing for a Medicare for all type single payer healthcare service. That would in fact have to be taxpayer funded. But guess what? What about other states that want to do a state by state Medicare for all kind of thing? Many states can't afford to do that. They can't afford to do it. States like Pennsylvania are absolutely $600 million in arrears this year alone. So if you think about that for a minute, many states would not be able to do such a thing because they are not monetarily sovereign. So if California fails and then other states decide they want to try and model what California did, folks, you understand this is the death of single payer. This is the death of universal health care, unless people understand the difference between a currency issuing entity and a currency using entity. Okay? A currency using entity requires taxation to actually pay for things. Remember this. It is very important, because you're going to get swept up in the herd hive mentality, the herd mindset, that go along with the flow kind of mindset, okay? And you're not going to know what you're doing, and sadly, Most states in the United States cannot afford to do single payer. California is a very, very large economy in and of itself, has huge tax revenues, would probably be able to handle most of this. Most states, however, would not be without the federal government stepping in. So it's very important. Monetarily sovereign means you create your own money. So a currency issuer is the same thing as monetarily sovereign for all practical purposes. A currency user is a non-sovereign entity like a state, a city, a local municipality, or someone that's in the Eurozone like Greece or France. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. I hope you learned something today. It's very, very important because all the great ideas in the world, all the well-meaning people in the world, all that doesn't change the fact that those states cannot afford to do this on their own. They require the federal government, which means we should be pushing for a national universal health care bill, whether it be expanded Medicare for all or whether it be something even better. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great day.